Right. Well, what a special it is treat for us to have you here tonight. This is Navigate number 8. Thank you very much for joining us, and special kalofale to our advisory board members as well joining us, Emeline and Ali. Thank you very much. Now, as you know, one of the challenges with any BLD is how to actually maintain a focus. Usually with projects, as they come to an end, schools and centres still need to do some work around how to actually sustain that focus. So tonight is about some ideas and about how to maintain the focus on Pasifika learners' success. We are definitely not saying that that is not what you're doing, but we are saying tonight that it's critical for all centres and all schools to ensure that there are systems and processes to ensure that there's a very clear focus on gaining better outcomes for our tamariki, our whānau, and our communities. So for tonight's presentation, we will share some ideas with you, and then most of the time will be spent in two groups, the ECE and the schooling group, in which we will work in implementing and around an action plan. And so tonight we will present some ideas, but it is our hope that you will take some of those ideas and contextualize them and adapt, make changes, make sure that they suit your settings. Here are some of the key ideas about how to sustain a tapasa focus. Now, these ideas have come out of our work in the 2 and nearly 3 years of the project. The first thing is ensuring that there is a shared purpose for, in this case, why do we need to focus on Pasifika learners? Now, I know we're speaking, to the converted, but in cases with, for instance, other centres and schools, it is critical that all staff involved talk about why there is an important, why is there a need for tapasa BLD? I think if you do not make some time to fully discuss the rationale, but also surface people's beliefs about the importance or the relevance of the BLD. So we're saying that it's important to make some time for that. The second point is the idea of identifying and empowering leaders and teachers. Now, many centres and schools that we work with, we come in and there's enormous amount of expertise already. And it has been a wonderful experience for us to work and nurture those. We help empower our leaders and teachers to say, look, you're doing these amazing things already. Keep those going. Here are some things that perhaps they're not going as well. How can we actually leverage, how can we utilize what's going well to strengthen some of the things that are not going well? So identify who those leaders and those effective practitioners are already in your centres and schools, and empower them to believe that they've got a critical part to play. Number 3 is around developing an action plan, and it has been a real excitement with us seeing centres and schools, develop an action plan for Pacific learners. Now, for some schools and centres, that's the norm for them, but it has been a new thing for some of the schools. Definitely, I work mainly in the schooling sector, so many centres have tried to actually write a plan that outlines clearly what is it that they're actually planning to do. For number 4 and 5, I'll pass it on to my colleague, Lealofi, to expand on those ideas. Okay?
I've been talking to myself for the past couple of minutes. E tūlou whakawelahi. It's really great to have you all join tonight out of your busy schedule. And I just want to add on, I also want to quickly acknowledge our esteemed leaders once again and our cultural leaders that have been able to join us tonight. Just to add on to identifying and empowering our leaders, I noticed somebody cooking there in the background, which is awesome. But sometimes in early childhood, from an early childhood perspective, the people that are in the hovering around in the background, like our kitchen cooks or, our support workers or, they also bring strengths and are more than capable to contribute to our curriculum program. So, even tapping into our support networks, um, continuing on from where Saliba had left off around creating continuous culturally affirming learning opportunities for growth. I know very well that many of you are already doing some of these very wordy things, and basically it's affirming each other of the knowledge, the strengths, the skills that already exist, that we already have, but sometimes we don't actually realize it ourselves until someone else recognizes it, until someone else says, "Hey, I heard you sing that beautiful song outside. Would you be able to share that for mat time? Or could you teach me it? Or could you, so it's really making note through observations, through taking note, through recognizing the strength, through knowing the people in your learning communities, in your kindergartens, in your aonga mata, and within the families that are part of your services and your schools. And then, looking for opportunities to create resources, looking for opportunities to create support, those leadership, whether that's online, whether having a little digital platform to do that, or whether it's about staying after school. Not that we are suggesting for you to stay any longer than what people are already, but just looking for opportunities to really grow the strengths that everybody brings. In whether it's making ula or making kopai or And number 5, fostering community and family engagement. Fostering community and family engagement, really getting to know your families, really getting to know your communities, knowing that if the theme today is, if the language week is around Niuean language, promoting the Niuean language, culture and identity, then really tapping into not just what is available online or what is available on YouTube, but really getting to know who are the families that currently exist in your schools and your centres. Who are the staff that actually might have connections to the Niuean community.
This slide, in 2019, the Education Hub, you may be familiar with the Education Hub, put out a survey and 178 teachers responded, 80 primary and intermediate and 98 secondary. And the survey was around asking teachers to identify problems of practice or issues or challenges of importance to them. So using a rating from 1, not a priority, to 4, not important. So as you'll see at number 3, so teachers and leaders identified the developing and using culturally sustaining practices as a critical part of their practice. So tapasa sits really well in this space, and so it's good that there's other research outside of the Pacific research that really reinforces the importance of works such as tapasa. some of the examples
Mm.
of sustainable structures that we've seen from the project so far. And many centres and schools have developed the idea of a lead team. Now, a lead team is a group, could be 2, 3, and in some secondary schools, which are bigger, have a team of up to 10 or 12 members of a team who are leading their Pacific or Tapasa focus at school. So having a team has many advantages. One of those is that the expertise and the mahi and the work is spread around different people. Number two, around building tapasa into the curriculum. Now, for many ECEs, that is certainly part and parcels of what you do every day. For us in the schooling sectors, could be implementing a particular unit of work, across the curriculum. For instance, in one of our big intermediate schools in Auckland, there was a unit on the dawn raids that all year 7s and 8 had to do. So that is a good example of how learning from Tapasa can influence curriculum practice and, of course, curriculum pedagogy. And, of course, a third structure, an example that we're actually going to have a look at is through an action plan. Now, an action plan, and we do intend action plan to be a plan full of action, a plan that is live. It shouldn't be something that is designed and then shelved. It should be something, a living document. Now, in the next half an hour, we will split into two groups. I'm pretty sure Alosina has worked out. If you haven't actually stated in the chat your name and which group that you would like to join, please do so now. But the idea in the next half an hour is that we will split and we will work from a template that we have designed. But we'll be very happy to either continue working with you using this template, and on the other hand, if you have a better template, then you can take the learning from here and transfer that into your own template. But that is what we'll be doing now for the next half an hour. We'll be working from this template, and this template, you will see that the idea is identify all the great things, all the things specific that's happening at your kura or your center, and then out of those, you trying to narrow your focus on one thing. I know teachers do lots of things, but we encourage you to focus on one thing and see if you can explain the rationale for why you want to focus on that one thing. And then you will do some thinking around what is the current state, or where are you at in relation to that particular focus? And where do you want to go? And then what are some actions that you can use to bridge that gap? Okay, so that's our task for the next half an hour. So I will wait for Alosina to give us a thumbs up that we are ready. So, and please, you should be seeing a little notice that says, please, Alosina is inviting you to join. Please click on the join, and that will take you into your correct breakout room. So we'll see you pretty soon, and our advisory members can choose which one they wish to join. And maybe Caroline or someone can stay in the main room in case someone has any particular challenges in joining. Otherwise, we'll see you back in a half an hour's time.
Kia ora Ellie.
Hi.
Kia ora, Anna.
Kia ora. Thank you for joining us. You might be able to take this, this breakout room.
No, you're the expert here.
Kia ora, Lucy and May. Kia ora,
Hoya.
Tong Tong. And over to you, Inano. Or shall I share my screen?
Yes, please. Can you share your screen?
Sure.
So just as we've been talking with Saliva on the main room, we just wanted to put together an action plan or for us to, from what we've been doing within our sessions, going out to our PLDs with our ECE services. And we thought it would be a good idea for us to just do a mock action plan for moving forward. So, could you share?
Yeah. So on my, when I go to share, it says that the host is still is it Alosina?
Okay. See if I can share my screen.
Mm.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Aotearoa School Early Learning Service Pasifika Success Action
Yeah.
Plan
Yeah.
2024. Okay, cool.
I can see it. Thanks.
Oh, thank
Cool.
you. So
Are
what
you
we'll
able,
do.
are you able to enlarge it, please, Inano?
Sure. Is that okay? I'm just doing it straight off the Word document. So I hopefully you can see it. In the chat, I have put the link in there as well. So if you wanted to copy the link that's in the chat, it's labeled, it'll be way at the beginning of the chat. So it's called the Navigate 8 Action Planning blank. So that's the ECE one. If you wanted to download it and save it onto your computer, and then if you save it as another copy, otherwise we might be looking at all your work as well. So just to start off with, we're having a look at our current state. Where are we now? What are the current specific things that we are doing within our early learning service? So if you have your copy already, you can write your examples down, or did you want us to do it together? What do you want to do? Should we do it together, or do you want to write your ones? Because we're all going to have different things to write on our one. So we'll start with.
Yeah. I'm just Tulo, Tina, you will notice that this form, the form is very similar to what we used it with your service. It was called a growth analysis, if you remember that. So this is the same similar form. So I'm sure that you've, some of us have already made start with this and might already be familiar. So if you would like to share your ideas, your thoughts on what are some awesome things that are already happening.
Thank you, Lofi. Hello, everybody. We're from the Onga Matai Whakasa Porirua, and we are new to the tapasa, to be honest. We've heard about it, and we thought it's a primary upwards kind of thing. But when we were given the opportunity for Lofi and Siliva to come, we were so happy. What is exciting at the moment, it's working on our PGC using the forms and trying to weave in what Tapasa and what Lofi and Siliva has given us to work on. So I think today we've had another progress meeting to different groups to start with, because we've been doing PGC. We've only done PGC once, but it still doesn't click. So with Lofi and them coming, and with other professional development we've been to, we wanted to start it with doing it in groups, just to like what our sister said, just to play around with ideas and try to get our head around it before we do it individually. So everybody is excited about it, and everybody is doing really well with it. We just want some Lofi and Siliva just to come and enjoy the day of our presentation and critique us honestly on where to next. But with the other professional development that we've done, they've advised us to practice it in groups and then break it up properly next year and do the individual one while we've got the sharing. So that's one good thing about, that's excitement that we've got now. Do you have anything to share? Just to start with and go around, we'll think of the other things as well. Thank you very much, Lofi.
Malo, whakawelahi. Malo, Tina. Thank you.
I think the challenges that we've seen, you know, us Pasifika people, we need hands-on. We need a professional person around us with the unpacking of the planning and the 3 criteria that we need to work on for our PGC, so that we can actually understand. But at the moment, we're just putting everything in, and we wait for the critique from the professional people, just to highlight on some of the weaknesses that we have, and also the strength that we do. Thank you.
Malo. Malo la whakatei mule whasoa. That's great news. Can I just also stress that we are all professional. We are all amazing, skilled people. And I think, you know, working as a collaborative in ECE, the thing I love about early childhood is that we work collaboratively and share our strengths and our ideas. Tong Tong, you look like you've taken lots of notes there and on a roll. Would you like to share anything, please? I think you're on mute. You're on mute, Tong Tong.
Unmute, Tong Tong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would just like to say thank you for our service provider, Inano. We're so lucky having her to lead us to learn the Tapasa. So and Tapasa is new to me as well. So I just want to share with you guys about what we did in our center, how we celebrate Fiji Language Week last week. So we don't have many children so far, but we did celebrate this Fijian Language Week with children. So what we did with children, we set up 2 activities. One is we call weaving mat. So we put children outside to cut some kalakeke. So they were so excited to get some kalakeke, and then they were really engaged, learning how to do weaving, making Fijian mat. They like it. And the other activity we did with children is using Fijian pattern, so to create their own Fiji Masi cloth. They really like it. So actually, when we post there's two activities on the story park, parents like it, and children really enjoy it. So so we're thinking we will continue to support children to learn Pasifika language and their traditional activity, to let them engage, to learn more Pacifica cultures in the future. It's ongoing study for me and for other staff members as well. That's all. Thank you. This is so far I'm at.
Thank you, Tong Tong.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your experience that you've been creating for our tamariki. And I spoke with Tong Tong earlier in the week because she was used to calling it every tapa. And I just encouraged her to research a little bit more what is the Tongan mat called, and what's the word that they use. So getting allowing her the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into the knowledge of each culture is to be more culturally sensitive when working with the different designs or patterns or the different activities that we create for our when we're working with our tamariki.
Correct, yeah, correct term.
Yeah, so using the correct language and the words that they use specifically for their Pacific Islands. So we learned about masi, the word masi, and what that looked like, and some of the different patterns that they have. So if we move on to the next question, the next box, tapasa, PLD focus and the rationale. So in this box, we'll be looking at the annual action plans, maybe as part of documentation. Looking at, could it be our local curriculum, how we engage with parents and whānau, and be able to be more culturally responsive when creating learning spaces for our tamariki. So in this section here, and also maybe having a look at being more aware of the Pacific pedagogy or frameworks, the dialogue. So these are now from the section up here. What are the exciting things that we're doing already? How can we start narrowing it down to a focus of where we can start? So those are some examples that I gave out. Does anyone else have they been looking at this section here and have any suggestions on what they've looked at or worked on at the moment, with narrowing it down a bit more of what your focus is for your PLDs? I think some of the kindergartens and learning centres I've been to, some of them are focusing on the values, the Pacific success values. We'll be working on ngā turu and what the different stages and also the indicators.
Any thoughts here? Lucy Lee? What a lovely name, Lucy Lee. Oh, sorry, that's my dog.
Hello.
Hi.
At the Mayfield Kindergarten, we have a culture of the celebration and regularly celebrate the significant events which reflect our whānau. We always been with the conversation with our whānau to ensure they are fully invited into the decision-making process with the events we celebrate. We use the learning story sharing our mokupuna, identity, language, and culture. And we also, sorry,
no, carry on.
Oh yeah, we also use the learning disposition for children's in the independence growing planning. So thank you so much for Inano come to our kindergarten a few times to organize amazing workshops for us. Joining the workshops, we learned a lot of Pasifika culture, pedagogies, some strings. So they were very, very useful. We normally use into our day-to-day practice with our internal evaluation as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Lucille. That's sorry. Thank you. That's fantastic. Any other thoughts?
You, Lofi, I think with the documentation and assessment,
Yeah.
we were so on to the Maori week. We had a lot of activities that was on at the time, and it's still continuing with the support of the parents. With the weaving, with the point making, with the bread making, with the what's the other one? The koru art and the hangi was the last one.
The hangi.
So I think those are the things that we really appreciate on, especially with the celebration of the language week. We always try to make sure there's a what next.
That's
after
right.
this year, and then okay, now we've got this, and we have to extend it. We extend it. Probably we'll take the kids to a marae, or we'll the teachers will contribute on the what next. But with the Maori week, it was so interesting, and everybody were wearing the costumes. We've got a story about that already been documented. But that really support the children's learning when we had language week, because it's asked the teachers to initiate and go outside of the box to make sure that we get other things that it's not usually in the house when we do language week. So Maori is always exciting when it comes to the Maori week and and all the other weeks. But I think because we're in the land and we appreciate where we are, and how we are expected, appreciated in this land, we want to do more of that. So we did a lot of singing, a lot of boy making, and a real Maori woman lady came to support us with that. And it was so good. We celebrated with a hangi on Friday with all the Maori dancing and all that. So it was quite enjoyable, but and special for our school and for our tamariki. And so as the parents,
Yeah.
So even now, we greet them both in Maori, whatever language that comes up. And we've got a Maori child, one. And it's always the greeting and the goodbyes that we use our Maori. But she responded really well, so as the family. And that really makes us so happy and so proud, you know, that when people come into our center from a different language, we try as much as possible to do likewise. So I think that's great. And
Manoa.
for us, one of the thing that is busy for us this week is a celebration of our 5-year-old children who are going to primary. So we've got a graduation this Saturday. So it's a big event. It's run by the parents and the teachers and the board. So it's quite a big event, and you see how the parents display their knowledge and how they really want to support the teachers in doing those things. So today on Saturday, we're going to do our graduation, and this is the 16th graduation we've done so far. It was a resolution by the parents in the new millennium. So we carry on until now, and it's run by the parents and teachers and the board every year. So I invite, if anybody is free, you can come along and enjoy our day on Saturday. But those are some of the excitement things that we are hosting at the moment. And all those things are documented every year. And it's always a documentation and then an assessment for a betterment for next year. So there's always a what next. So thank you very much.
Only if there's hangi again, we might just come there on Saturday for breakfast and enjoy the celebration.
No, come and enjoy the celebration.
It sounds wonderful. It sounds maloa. Thank you for sharing. And I really love the idea about, you know, although the Te Wika Te Reo Māori has ended, that the interest continues and the children are continuing to enjoy hearing the language that you're using te reo. And it's a wonderful example of also te whāriki in action. Because as we know, te whāriki is also the Te Whāriki and Tapasa share te tiriti. That's the common, the document that they share in common is that they are founded upon te tiriti or Waitangi. Excellent work. Just wondering if anybody here hasn't yet shared, if they would like to contribute or have any. Ellie, would you like to share anything there?
Oh,
please, Ellie?
me take Lofi. Yes, I will. Thank you for letting me have a little bit of a say. I mean, great work. It's a great project, and I think you're doing some fantastic work with our communities out there in early childhood and across the other sectors as well. I really like the idea that this action plan is a living document and that things will just keep rolling over and moving on to other things. I like the idea that because that's what happens in teaching and, you know, in life, that things sort of continue on and we pick up new ideas, we try things out, we, you know, put things to one side and move on to other things. And another thing that really connected with me was the creating resources and how much learning that can come from that as well. Like with even the understanding of making the masi and then all of the things that are unpacked from that. Because I guess tapa or siapo is a common sort of thread across the Pacific and many of the Pacific nations. But even learning the different styles, the different patterns, and identifying that is a siapo because it's got Samoan patterns, or the tapa from Tonga, the masi. I think that they're all identity, you know, I guess ways of identifying our cultural sort of communities as well. And so I think that should be celebrated, because there are a lot of stories that can come from that, and I really find that really appealing. And also, I guess many of us here are from Pacific communities, so we have an understanding, but those maybe who aren't, like our kindergartens, maybe our papa'a teachers, who have sort of at a different point on this journey, I think things like making a resource and finding out about the origins of it can be a really, I mean, I guess in some ways a very good beginning point. It's not, you're not feeling quite so anxious because you're making something. It's a good place to begin, but then building on further knowledge and language and all those sorts of things. So and tapping into the language weeks clearly is a great starting point for us as well, because they'll all look very different. Like Penina was talking about how they are doing it at E Whakasā, and the way that they're sort of using these ideas may look very different to another setting, but it's how we interpret and how we use it is actually our own story. And that's what we're developing. We're developing our own curriculum, our own local curriculum for those who are perhaps, you know, excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. Those who were born back in the islands, and those who are sort of first or second generation New Zealand. We have slightly different stories to tell, but it's all part of the mix. I had to leave it there because I'm getting cough.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Ellie. Ellie, for those of you that don't know who Ellie is, she's one of our academic experts in the field of early childhood, and we were very, very thankful and appreciative to have you online and join us. Should we continue?
Yep.
Where are we now in relation to our focus? So where are we now in relation to our focus? So, for example, some people have talked about the Masi and the Fijian Language Week and the amazing things that have been happening there, the practical hands-on activities. Some people have been talking about the connections they've been able to make with the local community in terms of celebrating Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. So from that, what was the question? Where are we now in relation to our focus? Or maybe should we go on to the next question? Where would we like to be from where we are? From some of the things amazing things that have happened. So where would we like to be? Oh, we have to go back in a few seconds.
What outcomes do we expect to see? So I guess maybe change in practice, and ways of
sustained practices, authentic engagement with our communities, with our traditional practices, e.g. weaving. So team, we'll try and get as much as we can, but we're going to have to go back to the main room.
Right. Welcome back. Lofi, can I just check if you had one person to share? Identify one person to share back something? Or if not, maybe you guys can.
Yes, Inano would like to share.
Thanks, Lofi.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for our ECE teams that came over to our breakout room. It was a really good discussion. Good to see and hear a lot of experiences that our ECEs and kindergartens and language nests have been thinking a lot more about and being a lot more aware of the cultural responsiveness within their practice. Some of the exciting things that that was shared was through the professional growth cycle, weaving in tapasā within their program planning. of course, engaging with our Tuituia team, Pacific-led team, and coming to present Tapasa. Lots of exciting new learning within the celebrating the language weeks for the first time, acknowledging activities
that are relevant to the culture. What,
Sorry.
you know, so for example, if it's Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, or if it's the Fijian Language Week, they've been able to be purposeful in how they celebrate the week.
Yeah.
Done, Inano.
And within the preparation of planning for the language weeks, you know, the going into depth and acknowledging that it's not a tapa, it's the Fijians, they call it masi, and the patterns. So just going a little bit deeper into their finding and acknowledging ethnic specific identity within the cultures, different cultures. Lots of talk around documentation and how important it was for the teams to be able to document each of the different events and within their planning, but also to follow through with the what next, what are we going to do next, that they're going to keep going. It's not just celebrated within the language week, but continues. There's one of our hangamatas having a graduation this weekend, and they're celebrating their 5-year-olds that have been attending with all their families coming to celebrate. And it was an initiative from the families that they wanted to have a look at this practice and to celebrate the work that the children have been doing within their service. So it's really exciting to hear that it's continuing, not just within the language weeks, but outside, and that's how it should be. And adding on to our kite of knowledge. Also allowing teachers to think outside of the box, being more creative, researching and looking at ways that they can extend their learning when doing something new. I think that was an exciting thing for teachers to acknowledge that this is new for me, not just the tapasa journey, but having a look at language weeks and what that looks like for us. We just started with the desired state and what that looked like with our PRD focus. And we had a look at sustaining the practice and continuing it and having authentic engagement with our communities and what that looks like, reaching out for support within their communities, but also with the PRD facilitators as well.
Malo.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So Michelle will feedback back something from our group. Thank you.
I feel like I need to say a little bit more now. That was so good. So I think that what I really enjoyed about it was we were basically looking at a step-by-step guide to establish where we actually currently were. That was the sort of action plan. And that was really through collating data from different sort of variety of information. So we had the student voices, what their aspirations were. We also talked about what their involvement was at Kuru, outside of the Kuru. So I think that really gives a really good view of often that life we don't see, particularly as teachers when we sort of in a group with other people. And collation of teacher voices as well, what they were looking for, what they felt the gaps were, what they needed. And then linking the learning communities within to the classroom and also the whānau voices. So from there, then we were sort of looking at where do we need to be and what do we want to get out. And I really like the idea of having just establishing 3 goals to keep you really focused, to enable you then to put some targets and to be able to track changes around it, which then enables you to see how successful you are within the Kura. And then I really like the idea, because you've gained that information from a variety of sources, involved everyone, that enabled you to show that your outcomes have been co-created, which then gives other people really, I guess, commitment and feel like they're also involved in the decisions of the school and their learners, because that's really the Okonga is what it is about. One of the things I particularly myself identified that I learned was around about ideas that they have these learnings outside that they're specifically involved with, which may be events. And it was to do with the one that was brought up was the Polyfest. And so what they sort of felt like as teachers was that it was an event that they went to, it was organised, but then that information and that learning wasn't brought into or incorporated into their just general classroom teaching and the curriculum that it was getting involved. So it felt more like an add-on rather than actually using everything to be able to learn, I think, from every aspect. And that really then links back to the involvement of the student voices of the teachers and the community as a whole. So yeah, I feel very grateful to have been part or listened to the discussion about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much for your feedback. Right, we've got some time for any questions, please, whether you can ask them live now or in the chat. And at the same time, Alosina has put a evaluation form as well, so please make sure give us some we feed off good feedback and feed forward from people. That's how we grow as well as facilitators. So, but we've got a couple of minutes for any questions or comments that people have around action plans, or maybe sustaining anything around sustaining the focus. Because it's always easy to start, to go on, start a project. Sustaining it is much harder. It's much harder to do. So we've got some of our academics and some of our advisors, and also, enormous expertise, within the team on our webinar. So
Just sorry, Tulo, just a comment. I also welcome people to jot down your comments in your specific languages, in your respective languages, and we will try our best to address your comments. Malo.
Right. All right. So, team, we pride ourselves as starting on time and finishing on time as well. We've got 2 minutes before. Okay. So let me wrap this up. Okay. The focus for tonight is on sustaining focus on Pacific success. As I said earlier, it's easy to start a project. It's much, much harder to sustain that focus. An action plan is one of the tools that can help you maintain that focus on Pacific success. For some of our centers in Kura here, that is the norm for you because of your context. So therefore, you what you may need to consider is how you strategically plan to sustain that focus. Because as the Tapasa projects comes to an end, you don't want your teachers to start talking about Tapasa. You want them to keep thinking, okay, how does this align with Tapasa? How does this align with certain indicators of Tapasa? How do I know that what we're doing is impacting positively on our Pasifika learners, on our families and whānau? How do we know? So without a plan, it can be very challenging for us to actually find out. Okay, so whānau, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We have been very honored to have you tonight, and we look forward to Navigate 9. Now, Navigate 9 coming up next month is all about sharing the mahi. We've invited some of our centers and schools to share 1 or 2 things about their journey. So please look forward to that. We will let you know when the next Navigators will start promoting that, but that is what Navigate 9 will focus on. So to wrap things up, if I could invite Famulmole, Faltua, Penina, if I could ask you, Famulmole, if you could just close us, Whakarakia, Whatatalo, Famulmole, for tonight. If you could just unmute your mic, Famulmole.
Thank you, everybody, for tonight. Thank you, Siliva and Lofi, for leading us tonight. Tato wifo matalo le tua. Mato whaftai le tua nei a whiawhilo lo whamlo wanga le lei. Mato whaalongo fo I malmanino mal tutoa. Wa awa uina fo I o mato mawhau I nisi o vaenga e ao na mato whatau nuina. Whaftai mo Siliva Malofi. Ona o le whaavanoina o la taimia o awai mātou. Mātou whaaftai le atua I lo whamlo wanga le lei. Whaatale nina I mātou. E ui na mātou vai vai ma le atua toa. Ai te fisosoani mai pēr. Mātou whaato ese I lau o fio pe a whai o le atua toa la mātou whaalongo. Ia ma le atua toa mea mātou te whaatino I nai. Le whaafai le leino o whanau. Tau si mai mātou, wha manuia mai ai mātou umalama, lo whea ngai maua onga, ma le whawhai le leina o whanau. Ono lo swafa Yesu. Amen.
Amen. Whaafatai,
Amen.
whionga Faltua. Okay, po marie, manuia le fiafi. Good evening.
Tai lava.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very
Good
much.
night.